Hello everyone, here's your teacher who misses you all so much. Glad that we can have another meeting, and I hope this video will help you with the readings and the theme of ritual and art for this week. And so anywhere you are, I send you a prayer of healing, of joy. There is this prayer in the Eucharistic prayer for some Christian traditions, that as soon as you get to the table for the Lord's Supper, you start by saying, lift up your heart. It's called the Sursum Corda. And then people respond, we lift our hearts to God. So I hope that I come to you with these words, lift up your heart in whatever situation you are, so you can see that there's also some form of life near you, booming within you and around you. So lift up your heart and pay attention to where life is happening. So today we are talking about ritual and art, and how do we connect the sense of worship, which is a ritual, a liturgy, and art. What is the relation between the two? So you know that the liturgy means liturgia, the work of the people. And from the work of the people has become the work of the experts who prepare it for the people. Somebody else does the work for us. And I always hope that we'll go back to that notion of liturgy as that which people can prepare and do. So when we approach Christian worship, we can do it from various perspectives, right? So there is the perspective of the official liturgists or liturgical theologians, the ones who are endowed with the mission to protect tradition and have the proper words, the proper gesturing, the proper movements, the proper space, the proper symbols, the proper spatial organization of the worship. And they are the ones telling us about the theology of the worship, but also the rules of the liturgy. The liturgy, the ritual that we do that. So they tell us the whys, the when, the hows, and they are the watchdogs, so to speak, of traditions, and they rule by the letter. So there's the perspective of the pastor also, who is ordained and now receive the mission to do that form of ritual to a congregation, to a local community. And so the pastor is the one who is going to negotiate the tradition with the local people and how to do it and when and how to help people to change, to be transformed. And it's a movement of the spirit and of the letter as well. And then there's the perspective of the artist. The artist is often, or should be at least, a free soul, and will work not only with the letter, but also with perception. The artist is that who perceives something different, something that will get us elsewhere. So for the artist, imagination is prime. And it is imagination that not only stays within a certain self-enclosed notion of belief or thought or movement, but it is organized, but organizes his or her thinking from the imagination. So that's why, and works mostly with the spirit. So that's why there's a differentiation between religion, religious art, and also just art, because there's a way in which religious art has to be organized around a certain limit, as art it always pushes the boundaries of every limit. So if you want to explore more of that, next semester I'm teaching a class on theology and the art, and you are welcome to come. So close the marketing here. If we follow, going through our readings now, follow James Baldwin, who said that a society must assume that it is stable. But the artist must know, and she or he must let us know, that there is nothing stable under heaven. Between the stability of our rituals and the work of the artists, who have to tell us, your rituals are also unstable. Everything is unstable. Or as the Buddhists will say, there is impermanence. Impermanence. And so everything shifts and changes and moves. And what if we did our ritual with that sense? I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was saying, this is time for us to go outside of the buildings and be with nature and be close to the trees and to the flowers and to the little creatures. No more buildings, no more altars. Let's stay outside. And then this friend said, well, but we need also the sense of security that we have built. So it is right. It is right. This person is also a professor of liturgy. And I was wondering if our rituals is not a way to protect our sense of stability that doesn't exist. And if it is time for us to do the work of temples, Aiki, please, I'm recording you now. That's my son messing up with my daughter. Can you show him? There it is. Tuna head! Okay. So what if we go outside and we use this time of this pandemic to go away from our buildings and go into other forms of altars, other forms of commitments? What if our temples become the meadows, the trees, the lakes, the rivers? So perhaps art can help us, empower us in different ways. Perhaps dismantle that stability and shows us who we are, impermanent, unstable, and help us to move along our lives the way we are. And perhaps going outside would be to pay attention to the little dandelions that are out of our manicured grass. So rituals, right? We always talk about rituals and what ritual means. So rituals serve to orient ourselves in the world, right? It helps orient us into the world, and also to orient the very notion of the world means. Right? Rituals encapsulates us with a cosmology, with a sense of who we are in relation to everything else. So rituals help to give us a sense of belonging. Through ritual, I know I belong to this group, to this spirituality, to these forms of prayers, to these altars, to this God, to this practice, gathering, and so on. But I wonder how we would shift our belonging from these things to belong to the earth, to belong to the trees. I got this book that talks about things of more than 2,000 years old. And I was wondering how much can we belong to that and to that rock that I showed you. So if our rituals could orient us towards the trees, towards the forests, how much would that change the very Christian faith? The theology, the practices, the prayers, the sacraments. They have even the notion of the sacraments. This indigenous leader in Brazil was talking about forests. And he said, forests are forms of life that comes from birds, soil, wind, seeds, people, animals, and so on. Forests are a collective force. They have intelligence of their own. And he said, those who live in the forests are the ones who have been decolonized from merely human forms of thinking, which means to learn how to think with the forest, from the forest's perspective. Oh, I wonder how much our rituals could decolonize our minds and our bodies and our souls and our hearts, so we could start to think with the trees. What would that mean? So I wonder how rituals and art can help spark our imagination with our belonging to the earth. I wonder how much we can use our imagination. Imagination is a wonderful gift that we are. And the other day, my son said that imagination is his best friend. So how much imagination can help us go in a more expansive way into religion, but also beyond religion? Because I always think that any religion, as expansive and amazing and so much wisdom it carries, no single religion can carry the breadth and expansiveness and the width of life. So I always believe that art can help us expand our perceptions, our feelings, our visions, our belonging. Art can help us imagine worlds without end, can help us create, connect, feel differently, be empowered. So I wonder how we can use art in our rituals that can do that. Not for the sake of creating something new. I'm not concerned about creating something new, but create a sense of awakening. Awakening. This is what French philosopher Gilles Deleuze speaks about classroom. He says, a class is less about mediating process of apprehension and comprehension, and more about movements and processes of becoming. He contends a class does not have as its sole objective total comprehension of a subject matter. A class is an emotion. It is not a matter of understanding and absorbing everything. It is a matter of awakening in time to capture that which is meaningful to our realities. And all I want in this class is for you to feel that, to awake, to rise. He also speaks of experiences that forces us to awaken, to feel, not to merely to comprehend something new, but more than that. This is what rituals can do. Work with our emotions, our affections, helps us to rise up from the dead, to help us connect with many forms of life, to what is meaningful, to unfold within us what we could not see before, what we could not perceive, a deep relation between body, soul, mind, earth, heart, people, things, in a much more expansive and connected ways. Art is about sewing back what was disconnected. As James Baldwin said, the artist's struggles illuminates the common human struggle, and that's what I hope he would do. That we would use our worship services to illuminate our common struggle and helps each other. I have so much more to say, but my daughter says that I am going out of time. So I wonder, what is your gift when you think about ritual and art? What is the gift that you have? A prayer? It is the gift of a sermon, of singing, of listening, of going visit somebody. Judith Butler says in her new book, The Force of Nonviolence, we need an altered state of perception, another imaginary that would disorient us from the givens of the political present. I wish our rituals would disorient us and help us be lost so we can be found. That is the relation between ritual and art. Blessings to you.